Jamal stood nervously in front of his new school, clutching the straps of his backpack. His mother knelt down to tie his shoelaces and smooth out his uniform. "You'll do great, sweetheart," she said, smiling reassuringly. Jamal nodded, but his stomach churned with anxiety. The school was much bigger than his old one, and the kids filing in through the gates didn't look like him. Most of them were white, and a few stared at him curiously as they passed. His mother gave his hand one last squeeze before he walked inside. The classroom was bright and colorful, but Jamal felt out of place. Mrs. Thompson, his new teacher, introduced him to the class. "This is Jamal. Let's make him feel welcome," she said with a warm smile. A few kids waved, but a boy named Ethan leaned over to his friend and whispered loudly, "Why is he so dark?" The class giggled, and Jamal's cheeks burned. He quickly took his seat, staring at his desk to avoid their eyes. At lunch, Jamal sat alone at a table, unpacking his lunchbox. Across the room, Ethan and his friends laughed and joked, their voices carrying over the chatter. Jamal picked at his sandwich, his appetite gone. He noticed a girl named Lily glancing at him. She hesitated, then started to walk over. But Ethan grabbed her arm. "Don't sit with him," he said. "He's weird." Lily looked back at Jamal with an apologetic expression, but stayed with the group. Jamal stared at his food, fighting back tears. Recess wasn't any better. Jamal tried to join a soccer game, but Ethan blocked him. "You can't play," Ethan said, crossing his arms. "Why not?" Jamal asked, his voice trembling. "Because you're different," Ethan replied, smirking. The other kids hesitated, but no one spoke up. Jamal walked away, kicking a rock in frustration. He sat on a bench, watching the others play, feeling more alone than ever. Later that afternoon, Lily approached him. She sat down quietly and said, "I'm sorry about earlier. Do you want to play?" Jamal looked at her, surprised but hopeful. They started drawing with chalk on the pavement, laughing as they created silly pictures. For the first time that day, Jamal felt like he belonged. But Ethan wasn't happy. He stormed over, his face red. "Why are you playing with him?" he demanded. Lily stood up, her hands on her hips. "Because he's nice. You're the one being mean," she said firmly. Ethan glared at her, but didn't know what to say. He muttered something under his breath and walked away. The next day, Mrs. Thompson gathered the class for a discussion. She held up 2 apples, one red and one green. She dropped the red apple and said, "This apple is bad because it's red." The kids looked confused. She cut both apples open, revealing they were the same inside. "Just like people," she said. "We might look different on the outside, but we're all the same inside." Ethan looked down, his face flushed with guilt. At recess, Ethan hesitated before walking up to Jamal. "Hey," he said awkwardly, "do you want to play soccer?" Jamal looked at him, surprised but nodded. They joined the game together, and the other kids cheered as Jamal scored a goal. For the first time, Jamal felt like he was part of the group. When the school day ended, Jamal ran to his mother, a wide smile on his face. "How was your day?" she asked. "It was good," Jamal said. "I made a friend." His mother hugged him tightly, relief and pride in her eyes. As they walked home, Jamal glanced back at the school, feeling a little less afraid of what tomorrow might bring.